Hello. What do you do when all of your members are constantly asking you, when are we going to have a store? And why can't we just open? Well, today we're going to look at what some co-ops have done in our presentation on instant gratification, benefits and costs of pre-storefront sales. Our guests today will include Sue Struthers from the Riverside Co-op, Marty Wren from the Westchester Co-op, Tiffany Perez from Kodiak Harvest Co-op, and Kalia Miller from the Silverton Food Co-op. Their recordings will be following, and I hope you enjoy this presentation. They've shared some great information about what worked in it and what didn't in their particular projects. All right, we're here today to talk about projects that co-ops have implemented to bring food to their customers, their shoppers, and their members before the store opens. And Sue Struthers is with us from the Riverside Food Co-op in California. And she's going to talk about how they went about it and why, and maybe a few things they learned along the way. How are you doing, Sue? Can you take it away?
I'm fine, yes. I would like to talk about doing business while gathering your members. What you see in this slide is the March Cropbox. We do them once a month. We use the profits from our Cropboxes to pay for things like website and software expenses, Facebook and other advertising. We offer one free box to our members as a promotion to gain members. Printing, yard signs, income taxes, city business licenses, produce buyers licenses, business filings fees, and liability insurance. Selling produce, it's very important to have that liability insurance. So we currently have at least 150 boxes each month, and that is fresh, local. Most of it is grown within 20 miles of downtown Riverside. The pandemic spurred a demand for fresh, local, and delivered. So for $30 a box for 14 to 16 pounds of produce with an optional delivery charge of $4.50. We spend about $2,500 a month with local farms. And we also support our local food hub, which is run by our K-12 school district in a kind of an unusual situation. We help create a demand for local produce that we think will carry over into our store. The box also gives us a time to engage with our members every month. Pre-pandemic Cropbox pickup included snacks, social time. Members would come in, stay for a while. They would get to know board members, offer ideas for what they wanted to do. They also post photos of their produce on Facebook. That Cropbox Sunday is a real spur. I think people are looking to outdo each other. Some share their produce with friends and invite others to join. And our members pack the boxes, deliver, and help distribute. This is two Boy Scouts who were looking for community service hours. They were having trouble getting during COVID, so they have been delivering boxes for us. And then this is our group, some of our group, working on moving those boxes. And here is how I used my produce, a beautiful display of beets and onions. We're very lucky in Riverside because we have a year-round growing climate. I have a year-round garden, so I'm not sure how this would work in some other places. So the Cropbox has spurred publicity, and it has increased our relationship with local government agencies. We have participated in 3 grants by invitation. There was a HEAL zone, healthy eating, active living zone, and we were asked to provide a produce stand in a very low income area. Those grant funds were provided just for that East Side area. So for 2 years at cost, we were able to provide fresh and local produce. We hired neighborhood workers at above minimum wage to work the stand. It wasn't a lot of hours, but they appreciated the work. We helped county health department provide workshops on diabetes. We did things like scheduling speakers, healthy eating, reducing food waste, and cooking tips for what we had for sale. We also then partnered with the city of Riverside in a grant from Cow Recycle, which is our recycling agency for the entire state of California. It expanded our volunteer gleaning operation, which was something we sort of started on a whim, by hiring employees, and it bought us a refrigerated van for food rescue. In the course of that grant, a little less than 2 years, we rescued 500,000 pounds of food for pantries and feeding sites. And then as CARES money came into play in the fall of last year, we were asked to do food box deliveries because those boxes contained milk, meat, and cheese, because we had a refrigerated van. And it allowed us to give our employees more hours, and that money was being spent with local farms. We had farmers tell us that you've kept me farming for the next year with this boost of income. Here are some of our volunteer gleaners. You see that it's sometimes a family affair. The kids can come as long as their parents watch them. And here is part of what they picked that day. Citrus has been grown commercially in Riverside for more than 100 years, not as commercial as it once was for lots of reasons. And this is our van that we were allowed to get with the grant funds. We got to put the vinyl wrap on it, and boy, is that an eye catcher as it comes down the street. So our considerations are that Cropbox takes administration time. We have subscription software, we do bookkeeping, and then there's member interaction to help with accounts. Credit cards expire. Someone's going to be away for that box, so we provide alternatives. I have administered Cropbox for 6 years, and it's a fair amount of work. We have had the opportunity to gain lots of business acumen and connections. We know good insurance brokers. We can count on people to help us that way. Our bank account balance is very healthy, above what is member equity in our savings account. One of the downsides is that too much of the work falls to Scott and myself, and it draws our time and attention away from membership. So why did we begin Cropbox? Because member growth was stagnant. When this was started, the original founding members set the membership share at $300. And frankly, I don't think any of them knew very many people who could afford to spend $300, particularly because this was just coming off of the recession, still in the recession actually in 2013. So we were also looking for a way to engage our members and attract new members, and it has done that. We liked the social part of Cropbox distribution. Our board and our former board has always been a very social group. We all like to cook and share recipes and food. And so much of our outreach was simply not working. We were depending on going to festivals. Riverside has lots of various multicultural festivals, the Day of the Dead and the Asian Pacific festival for around Tet. So we were going and trying to interrupt people while they were having fun, and it just wasn't going anywhere. So we decided to do the Cropbox, but some of the unresolved issues, and I talked to a couple of other of our board members, is that, and maybe this is for all co-ops, our membership can be confused. They, during COVID, many of them thought when they saw an ad that we were actually a charitable organization, which we're not. Are we a permanent produce box? Will we be doing this forever? Scott says, hell no. We were told I don't need to join because I have a garden. Others don't understand the concept of investing in a future store. And I don't know anyone who can grow everything they eat, even if you're vegan, there are still some things there. And the bottom line for me that I have thought about is, would the Riverside Food Co-op have continued with the stagnant membership growth we were experiencing? I don't think so. In our case, I think it would have closed. So the produce box wound up saving us, even though that really was not the intention. But of course, there is no going backward. We have done it. And we certainly don't have a store yet, although I think we are ready to move forward. We've been talking to Don Moffat about doing the pro forma. And I think in lots of ways, we're getting a more actively interested board membership. Sorry about that noise. So that's really all I have to say.
That was great, Sue. I mean, that gives us a really good idea of your program. How is it? You said it's you and Scott have done almost all of this. So have other people been continuing to actively pursue the storefront work, the member recruitment, and other things that are needed?
So we have had a large turnover in board members. I am the only one that was a part of the group from early on. And so most of this work falls to the two of us because I do the paperwork and the bookkeeping. And Scott is our produce buyer. He actually started the food hub that we buy through. So, and he is our official produce buyer. So some other people are moving toward that. We have a few committees about our social media and holding annual meetings, that kind of thing. But that has not been as productive, and we are working on pushing that forward.
Yeah. And you said you have been able to raise money, so that's good. I know some of these projects end up being break even or even losing money, but publicity can be helpful regardless, I think. Do you have a sense of how much that is, or would you like to share that, or is it?
We have $30 is the price of our box, and we spend, I think, with costs somewhere around 20, because you have to buy packaging, sure. All of those things. So we make about $10 a box, which is roughly $1,500 a month. This isn't Amazon.
No, but that's not bad either.
It pays for a lot of things.
Yeah. And do you have a sense of how many volunteer hours go into it?
I would say monthly, Scott probably spends maybe 8 to 10 hours. Mm-hmm. I probably spend another 8 to 10 hours throughout the month doing the bookkeeping. And then we have people who work directly at the packing. That is usually, it's maybe a 2-hour process, and we have anywhere from 4 to 10 people out there packing. And then from the boxes are packed at a farm and then they are moved to my house and they're distributed from my driveway. And then we have three people actually, who spend from 10:30 to 1:30 here helping distribute.
So there's a lot of commitment in that.
It's a lot of commitment. It is an exhausting day. Yeah, lots of last time I looked at my phone app after a Cropbox distribution, it said I had done 1,200 steps in my driveway. I thought, whoa.
Oh, it's good exercise too.
I'm tired at the end of the day. And that's carrying a box that,
Sure.
15, 16 pounds.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you for sharing. Do you have any other thoughts you'd like to end with?
No, I've pondered about would we do this in the same situation? And I think ultimately for us, we would have. I don't see any way that we would still be here.
Yeah.
Would I have taken it on knowing that it would be ongoing for 6 or 7 years? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear that sometimes from people that are involved in just regular co-op organizing too. If we would have known we were getting into at the start, maybe it wouldn't have happened. But on the other side of that coin is that most people, by the time the co-op opens, are really glad they did it.
And I have been. It's a social group. I'm proud of the work we've done. Feeding people during this time and other times. I think if we close tomorrow, we still have a lot of
you've accomplished something. Yes. Yeah. Well, that's a great note to end on. And once again, thank you very much. Hi, I'm Stuart Reed, and my next guest today is Marnie Wren from the Westchester Co-op in Pennsylvania.
Yep, that's right.
And for a second there, I was thinking New York, but I get confused
both,
easily. Anyway, she's going to talk about what their co-op has been doing to engage their members and customers before the co-op is open. And let's just let her take it from there, Marty.
Sure. So we had a lot of really great momentum before COVID hit, where we were getting very close to, being able to head into stage 3A, and we were actually putting feelers out for member loans and all kinds of stuff. Things were going great, and then COVID hit, and we kind of, as everybody knows, hit a brick wall, and we're really feeling, the strain with building our member owner base, but also the strain of our community with not being able to access fresh food or any food really for those that live in our downtown area, which is where we want to put our store. There's quite a few sections of impoverished areas, and we actually have no grocery store in our downtown area at all. So if you didn't have a car, you had really no way to get anything. So to kind of help both issues for us, we came up with this GoBox project, and what it involved was gathering all of the local vendors in our area, which we are very blessed to live in a county that has an incredible agricultural community and a lot of artisan vendors, with packaged and all kinds of different other products besides just food, and reached out to probably over 50 of them, I would say, and all of them were very ecstatic to be involved in a project like this. And we were able to open up a product called the GoBox, where people could order online and come and pick up the box curbside. We were fortunate enough to be able to secure a space from one of our member owners that happens to be a landlord and had a building that we were able to use. So we kind of set up shop inside and were able to get the deliveries and the boxes all organized, and people literally just pull up to a curb. There's cones out there. They pull down their window. We put it in. We say, hi, how are you? Do you want to, if they aren't a member owner, we put a little card in their box. Do you want more information? That kind of stuff. And then we, continue to reach out to them. And, we're selling about 50 boxes a week, which is great.
Yeah.
It fluctuates week to week, and every week we add on new products. So, when we started out, it was, probably 50 items, and now we're probably up to 150 to 200. And every week we literally, depending on the season, like right now, we're adding a whole bunch of new vegetables, obviously, as they come into season. We now have vendors contacting us to get in on it because they're hearing about us. So it's been really, really great. And we have the key to it was that we had an amazing volunteer base that finally had something to jump on board with, because as you all know, getting volunteers to do anything is like pulling teeth. But this was kind of something fun, instead of the boring tasks that we're always wanting them to do. This was like, hey, we actually have a mini store going on, and we're actually touching people's lives, so we were able to really gather a really strong volunteer base for this. And honestly, we only do it 1 day a week because that's all we could do. One, the deliveries of the product have to occur by a certain time, and it just takes a lot of logistics from a volunteer base.
Yeah.
But we only do it 1 day a week. So Tuesdays is the day that we're able to do it. And, it's been going very well. Has it gotten us the member owners that we would like? Not necessarily, but it has given us some visibility. Word has gotten out about us. We were actually able, we did have our biggest year of growth in our 7-year history.
Good.
So we were able, from the time we started it until now, grow almost 100 member owners from that.
That's reasonable.
Some of it was the Go Box. Honestly, some of it was just social media because of COVID and people being more glued to their social media. But that's where we're at with that.
So your people are looking at what you have available on your website and making their own choices. It's not a preset box.
No, when we initially started the idea, we first thought we would do a set box, just a basics box. And we put a survey out to our member owners to see what they would want. And I would tell you that was the biggest comment was we want to be able to pick our own thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So we then just opened it up to a la carte. People can pick what they want. And I think that has definitely worked out better.
So do you have to keep some inventory somewhere?
We do. And some of the vendors were able to order just what people order. Some we have to order a minimum, so we end up with extra. And some we can keep till the next week. Some expire. So literally just 2 weeks ago, we actually ended up opening up a pop-up store, we're calling it, on Wednesday. So anything left over on Wednesday, people are now able, because everybody's a little bit more comfortable with going out, with being vaccinated and all that they can actually come in the store and buy those leftover products. So last week we had about 40 people come in. It's only open like 3 hours in the afternoon. But that's kind of turning over some of our additional inventory that we have.
Yeah. How many vendors are you working with? Do you know?
I'd say we probably have 50 to 75 that we work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not all of them all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Right.
Oh, that must be something. I imagine there's a fair number of volunteer hours involved. Is like one person coordinating it?
Yes, we honestly, this would not be happening with, and she really should be the one doing this whole interview because she's the heart and soul of this. Her name's Judy Carino, and she is the bomb. Like it takes a lot of work, but she's loving it. Like this is like her passion, and she is the one that's dealing with the vendors, dealing with the volunteers, sometimes picking up the deliveries, getting the deliveries at the store, getting people to put things in the freezer, organize it, and then she's in charge of the actual day of getting the boxes packed, getting them out to the people at the curb, and the pop-up shop. So
wow.
It would not happen without her, I will tell you that. Everybody.
That's a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many hours of volunteer time go into it?
I really don't. I would say we probably have, besides her, we probably have 8 people that day that are there for 4 to 6 hours. And then she's probably spending a good 20 to 30 hours a week herself
Yeah.
doing that, I
Okay.
would say.
And are you making any money on it, or is the idea just to break even?
Well, we are making money, but we needed to pay the rent on the building it's minimal rent that we're being charged from this member owner, but we are just breaking even on that. So without the rent, we would be making money. So yeah, it depends on the week too. Kind of fluctuates up and down.
Right. And so it sounds like you would consider this program very successful.
We would. Like I said, I don't know that we necessarily got the number of member owners that we would like out of it, but I think the fact that it gave us a presence and there's a buzz about it, that it will help us continue to grow our member owner base as we continue forward. So yes, but it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, yeah. Other than that, have you had any downsides or problems that you've had to figure out creative ways to get around?
The biggest thing I would say is that sometimes, especially with produce, we put our order in and they sub something or they just don't pack it because they don't have it and they don't tell us. So we're literally packing boxes and all of a sudden there's no
where's the carrots?
Peas.
Yeah.
So, we're having to, reach out to people, be like, do you care if it's snow peas versus snap peas, or can I give them to you next week when they come in? So it's kind of more of that, and maybe somebody didn't get what they meant to get in a box, so we got to figure out how to get that. So there wasn't a lot of that. I mean, we have like a quality assurance step in the process, which has helped.
That's good.
So that's really nothing too terribly drastic.
Yeah.
But those kinds of things.
Okay. And while this is going on, I assume that at least the people that are most involved in this project aren't putting as much time into some of the other store organizing effort. Have you been able to maintain that momentum?
So, we have different committees, obviously. So the marketing committee, obviously, who, as everybody knows, is so instrumental in every aspect of building the co-op, has had to juggle quite a bit with the store, but we're really using the store because nobody can have events. So everything else that we were kind of working on got put to the side as it was anyway for COVID. So I wouldn't necessarily say that because everything got put on hold.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it kind of remains to be seen if there's enough energy to do everything at once.
Well, yes, as it's been a draining year for everybody for many reasons. So it'll be interesting to see as we come out of this over the next couple of months. Everybody's going to have to get back onto our path, the original path that we had. Yeah.
So you probably at some point when you're getting closer to store opening, do you think you'll be tapering off on doing this to concentrate on that?
As long as we have the space and we want to utilize it and we need to pay rent, we're going to have a moneymaker.
Oh, yeah, just to cover that.
Yeah, so we're going to have to continue to do this. We do feel like having that in-store experience is going to be more important than the Go Box, as people want to get out and about and pick out their own stuff and, be with people. So I think we may shift to a more in-store model as things move forward. So we're in a phase right now where we're, feeling out how the next 3 to 6 months goes, with people continuing to go buy the Go Box and come into the store and join. So we can put all this effort out, and it's great to give our member owners this service. But if it doesn't grow our member owner base, it's kind of wasted energy almost.
Yeah, not entirely, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So the space you're using, is that going to be your future storefront?
No, unfortunately not. We had the whole study done by Seven Roots about the viability there, and it's a great space, but it just has missing things that would not make a store viable. So unfortunately not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you'd like to share with the people that are watching that are thinking about whether they should try this themselves?
Well, the only thing I could say is you really have to have a couple core people that are willing to take this on.
Yeah.
We all know we're all volunteers with lives, and this is, fortunately Judy is retired, so she's able to take that on and has a passion for it. But there's a lot of logistical things to put into place before you commit to it. So if you've got a couple people, it's so worth it, and it's so great to feel that feeling of satisfaction of getting food really right in people's hands. So it's a wonderful thing to feel.
From community food from the community for the community, and it's building that co-op.
Yes, right.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for taking the
Sure.
time to share, and I hope you can be with us for the conference and enjoy some of the rest of it.
Absolutely. Great.
Thanks again. Bye
Thanks
now.
so much. Okay.
And my next guest today is going to be Tiffany Perez. I hope I got that reasonably close. And
Yes.
she's with the Kodiak Alaska group that's trying to get a co-op started in the island of Kodiak. And they've been doing some work before the store opens also. And here to tell you about it is Tiffany.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the introduction, Stuart. So I am with the Kodiak Harvest Food Cooperative. The co-op was initially started in 2016 after a community planning day in 2015 that had a lot of involvement from the overall Kodiak community, had indicated that they were interested in the food co-op here on the island to help address issues of food security.
And how have you been addressing the issue of something before the store? For all those people that can't wait to have a storefront open and asking for something coming.
And then things really changed last year with the pandemic. We started offering basically a weekly veggie box subscription that people can take advantage of. And that was very popular. And our sales increased from 2019, where we had about between $12,000 and $13,000 in veggie sales, to last year it was almost $90,000 in veggie
Wow,
sales.
that's a lot of veggies.
And this was all done through weekly veggie pop-up stands.
Yeah.
We're working on getting into our storefront right now. We've identified the building that we're going to be leasing, but there's going to be a timeline before we're truly open, and we are anticipating offering weekly veggie stand pop-ups again in the community.
Is that something you only do during the growing season? Or are you able to do some of that in the off months as well?
Yeah, it definitely happens during the growing season. Last year we continued to do it into, I think, October. In terms of a veggie stand where anyone could come by, but they actually had the weekly subscription boxes up through December.
I see.
Even though some of our local growers, unless they have like a high tunnel hoop house kind of enclosure to keep things warmer, our local growers had gone dormant for the season, but some of the larger operations on the mainland were able to still provide some produce that we could offer.
Mm-hmm.
So we really focused on trying to offer Kodiak grown items first, followed by things that are grown throughout the rest of the state.
I love your canned salmon with your own logo on it. That's
Yes.
That's very
That
nice.
was something they started, I think, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And again, they were looking at addressing a need. There's opportunities to go catch your own salmon. There's opportunities to buy from some of the local processors that have a storefront. But the reality is, unless you are in a household that has like a deep freezer, you can't really stock up on those things. So the ability to provide a fresh local protein in a shelf-stable way was a really important opportunity that we wanted to provide. And it's been really great. The community buys it by the case, and we also help facilitate getting it out to Native elders in the rural villages for their meal program as well. But I think it's absolutely created an awareness level and a sense of excitement. Since I started as the project director, everyone I've talked to has nothing but enthusiasm for what the co-op is trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And I think that they see that, with the establishment of the co-op, it also is helping some of the local growers and ranchers build a stronger business for themselves as well.
Yeah, that's great. Any words of wisdom to share with other co-ops that might be thinking of doing something like this?
I would say it's worth piloting for sure. Testing it out, seeing what sort of engagement and response you get, and to continue to just be open to feedback and opportunities. I think how they've operated has been based on inquiries and requests from their membership and from folks that they've engaged with at the markets. That they've taken advantage of suggestions over the years. And they test and they modify and continue with the things that are working.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for taking time to share with us, and I hope you can participate in the rest of the conference, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Kodiak sometime.
Great. Thanks a lot, Stuart. Happy to be here.
All right. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Stuart Reed, back today with Leah Miller, and she's going to talk to us about the great program they've put together at Silverton Co-op in Silverton, Oregon. And they've been working on getting their retail open for quite a while, and tried a pop-up market as a way to build interest. So, Leah, could you tell us a little bit about how you went about it in Silverton?
Yeah, so I actually don't know who came up with the idea, but I think it's an interesting idea that we explored. We decided to collaborate with a local storefront that was already open and selling various local items in their storefront. And we did a sampling of what a food co-op would be like in the back of their already open storefront. So that was about 150 square feet, maybe at the most, in the back of their store. And we had some local produce and some preserves in that area, as well as our main focus was just a booth that was informational about the food co-op and a little tidbit to get people more involved or sign up to be part of the food co-op. Yeah, so that was what we kind of opened in a already open store.
And what kind of store was it that you decided to, or were able to use?
So they were kind of a gift shop of sorts. They sold just local handmade items from the area that were non-food related, and then we were able to contact local farmers and put some of their things in with our information on the food co-op in the back of their store.
Okay, so did you get pretty good traffic through there?
We got okay amount of traffic. I wouldn't say that it is as much traffic as we would get when we have just an information booth open at the farmers market. We get quite a few more people through that. But we got a significant amount, more than we would if we didn't have anything going through there. And then we also got a couple hundred people to sign up to be members of the food co-op. So I would chalk that up to a win there to get a couple hundred people to sign up for the food co-op. So.
And how long were you operating that store?
It's hard to remember how long. I think we did it for about a year, if I remember correctly.
It seems about right from what I remember. Yeah. And why did you stop?
We stopped because all of our volunteers that were working on that were, just as I said, volunteers. So they were not paid to do a significant amount of work. I know I was putting in about 15 hours a week on it, just contacting producers and then also being present in the store to talk with people who come in about the food co-op. So we were doing that on top of being in the farmers market with a pop-up booth there that was just solely information. And it was overwhelming. And then we were also it was a distraction from our bigger picture of opening up our brick and mortar store. So people were under the wrong impression that that was the food co-op.
Mm,
And so it became a distraction from what we wanted to actually open for the community. And it was difficult to communicate with people every time they came in. No, this isn't actually the food co op. This is a sampling of what we want to open, and we want it to be bigger than this. And when people have that misconception, it's hard to raise money because they think that you're already there. Of course, you don't need
yeah.
any funding if you're already open. And so we had to take a step back and look and see what was working, what wasn't. We were losing money on having that open, and it wasn't easy to communicate with the public that that was not the end goal, that this was just a little sampling of what we needed to open in our community.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard enough sometimes to effectively explain what exactly is a food co-op if people aren't familiar with them from past experience. And I can see how that would have been a problem there. So what have you taken on any other projects since then, or are you just concentrating now on getting the regular storefront up?
So we do try and have a presence in the farmers market as the farmers market needs, and that looked a little bit different with COVID. Once COVID hit, we basically just asked our farmers market, how can we be helpful to you and the farmers? And we were just present as much as we could be then. Before COVID hit, we decided to really try and make our biggest presence known at the farmers market with an informational booth, because that's how we've gotten the most members to join the food co-op. So we put out a lot of our efforts there, and then we have had a few just pop-up markets throughout the year, kind of to celebrate what our farmers have for their bountiful harvest. So
Yeah.
we've had one in the winter for like a winter harvest, and then we've had one in the summer as well. And it's basically a mini farmers market in of itself, because we have the farmers come in and sell their stuff at a location that we just rented for an event.
How many people do you able to? Whoa, hi, we have another guest all of a sudden.
Oh,
I think they might have accidentally invited her back into gone again. Must have been an accident. I was interviewing her last, so anyway, I'll get the gang all on one. Could have done that, I guess, if I could have worked the schedules for everybody. But was I asked, oh, how many farmers participated in the farmer events? Do you know offhand?
like our pop-up events
Yeah,
that we did.
yeah.
There were 2 farmers that decided to come and be there all day with us, and then there was about 4 or 5 farmers that asked if they could just sell their product to us and then have us sell it to people.
Mhm.
And so we had them participate on any level that they wanted to be. It was mainly it was an event to get our presence known in the community, but also to put feelers out there to let farmers know that we're really there for them as well.
Good. And did you get a lot of members coming by during that?
Yeah, we did. We got over 100 coming in each of those times.
That's not bad. Yeah. Well, any other lessons learned or thoughts about what you do differently, or would you do it at all? I guess is the question. But
yeah, I just think that communication is huge within the community, and so if you have any message that you want to get out, you want to simplify it as much as possible, so that you can think how is the easiest way to understand what I'm going to say to the public. Let's pretend like they don't even know what a co-op is. They don't even know what a community-owned grocery store is whatsoever. How do I explain this to the community? Because it's easy to get confused for a community member, and you don't want to make them feel silly or stupid by not
Right.
understanding what
Yeah.
a co-op is. So the biggest takeaway was just to be really gracious, but also to really communicate as a board before presenting something to the community and get everything sorted away before we present that to the community. And I think that the idea of what we did was a great idea. Um, and all ideas to raise money are really great ideas because we need to raise money right now to open a food co-op. But it just the execution of it, I don't know that it was anybody in particular that it didn't work out for any reason other than communication is so key.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
community.
It's
So I would say try your ideas, but just check in every once in a while to see if they're working. Is this really for the greater good of opening a food co-op, or has this become our new goal?
mhm.
And is this eating up our board's time? And being okay with it not working too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's well said. It's ironic that one of the goals was to help people see what a co-op was going to be like, and in fact, instead the end result was it kind of confused them.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh well. All right. Well, any other parting words of wisdom?
No.
No. All right. Well, thank you so much for participating, and I hope that you and everyone else enjoys the rest of the conference. Thanks so much.
Thank you.